I served 9 years in the Army Reserve, and I did 1 year of active duty. And my rank, I started as an E3, which is a private first class, and then when I got out in 2011, I was a staff sergeant. When I started as a student at Marquette University, I had an Air Force ROTC scholarship. But then September 11th happened, my sophomore year of college, and a couple months later, I decided to just straight out list in the Army Reserve. So I ended up giving back my Air Force ROTC scholarship, and then between my sophomore and junior year of college, I went to basic training and military police school, and then I was in. So I went to, it was basic training and military police school, and it was all at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. It was 17 straight weeks. So I honestly finished like my last final exam as a sophomore at Marquette, went to training all summer, and then I came back and I started the semester again as a junior. I was a junior, and then I got activated December 27th, 2002, and I served the entire 2003 in both Kuwait and Iraq, and the start of the war was in March 2003. And then I got home, I think it was February 10th, 2004. I was 20 years old, and I guess scared. My parents were really scared. I just remember right before I left, my mom was like crying, and I was just like, you have to be strong for me. So she always remembered that too. But my mom's hair definitely got a lot grayer after I was deployed for the year. But there was a lot of unknown. The war hadn't started yet. I just remember when I was sitting in my dorm room, this was right before my unit got activated, watching like CNN and Fox News, and that was all when George Bush had wanted Saddam Hussein to give up those weapons of mass destruction. I just remember sitting there thinking, give up the weapons of mass destruction. I don't want to leave college. We spent a month training in Fort Dix, New Jersey, and there was a ton of snow on the ground. So it wasn't really preparing us well for getting sent over to the desert then. So then we got sent to Kuwait. We were there for, I think, another like 6 weeks. And then the war started in the middle of March 2003. And it was just scary. We were building camps out of nothing, just right there in the middle of the desert. We actually built a prison camp. I was military police. Built it from the ground up, had 7,000 prisoners. It was just a scary experience at some points, but luckily I never saw combat. So I think the scariest things were just the unknown of if like chemical or biological weapons were going to be used against us. 20 years old. Just this is like the first major time I've been away from home. Sandstorms were miserable. Snakes, rats, like all that type of stuff. My unit had moved north out of Kuwait into Iraq, and we crossed the border, and it was really scary because, just like I said, there's a lot of unknown. What are we to expect? Plus, I was in the reserves, so a lot of our equipment, our Humvees, just the things that we wore, they were very outdated. Things hadn't really been updated yet, so some of our Humvees had no doors on them. So we're taking this huge convoy into Iraq. We cross the border, it's really scary, and we go into this village, and there's lots of Iraqis just lining the streets. And it was just really scary as we're driving through there, and I just remember sitting in the back of this truck, and we're all like, a whole bunch of us packed in, and we're in this big convoy. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I wonder if somebody's gonna shoot at us. And actually, it was like the complete opposite. All the Iraqis that were lying in the street were thanking us. They were like, thank you for coming in, thank you for doing what you're doing. So that was a defining moment. And then shortly after that, and I think this all happened the same day, Iraq had one of the worst sandstorms that it's had in 100 years. And I think I gave Renee a picture of that. It is insane. Like the Humvee, you can't even see the outline of you can barely see the outline of the Humvee. And I just remember we had to stop. Our entire convoy had to pull over because we couldn't even see where we were going. And I just remember like not even being able to breathe. Like I had to put a shirt over my mouth. It was like you felt like you were being suffocated with sand. And I was like, what the hell did I sign up for? Honestly, I felt like we were in like the crappiest country ever. But that country, out of all the places that I've been in the world, in the United States, had the most amazing sunrises and sunsets. And I just remember one time we had to sleep under the stars, literally. And like the entire like sky was just full of stars. And that was amazing. Yes, I actually was just thinking about this yesterday that, you know, I feel like when you're in college, you have a very defined path for your life where, you know, when you're in college and you start college, you feel like you have a plan for your life. So my plan when I started at Marquette was that I was going to join Air Force ROTC. I was going to get my degree. I was actually going to go to law school. I got in this special pre-law scholars program at Marquette. I was going to serve 4 years in the Air Force as a JAG officer, and you know that was my plan for my life. And then you know, stuff happens like September 11th, and then you make a decision that changes your life. And you know, can't say making a decision at 19 years old that you're as like well informed. You kind of just make decisions that are a little bit more like impulsive without thinking it really a lot through. And that was a decision that affected 9 years of my life. I just think that the military has taught me a lot of things about just leadership, resiliency, learning to adapt to things that aren't necessarily the best situations, not being afraid of things, being confident.